Well, now, we are about 5 days away from actually going into AEW Collision. This is a Saturday event. Saturday was a very peak and huge day as far as wrestling goes in the past. It's actually a good idea to do this at some point when you're looking at, hey, let's try and attract some viewers with a little bit of talent here. Instead, you ended up having almost what it looks like a split type of roster where you have Dynamite on one end and then you have Collision on another end. And these two are two different types of linear prospects, I guess you could say, as far as um it's almost like Jade and the AEW women's division, how they don't intertwine. And now we're going to have that with two different locker rooms and two different shows that are touring. I guess hypothetically, it makes sense because this is something that WWE did about 20 some odd years ago with Bischoff and Flair, and not together, but Flair, and then a draft with Vince McMahon and then Eric Bischoff. And it made sense. It did get legs, and they did stick to the whole thing of we're going to keep these shows separate. And I think that that was actually a great idea at the time. But right now, as of right now, I'm looking at it and it just doesn't work anymore because the internet is like even bigger than today, and you always have these people that pat each other on the back and just make sure that they, after a match the animosity is not there anymore. It's almost like, yes, I understand you blow off steam and you have a wrestling match, but these guys take pictures next to each other to be like, hey, you're great, can't wait for the next time, you'll get a title shot next time. So kayfabe's totally done. I think we could agree with that. But it doesn't mean that you can't stop pretending like it's a thing. You can't stop pretending like, okay, these guys hate each other and they might be friends in real life, but I still like that storyline. Let's look at guys that come up from NXT. Okay. Who are they paired off with, first off, when they come up and make their roster debut? They face off against people that they had chemistry with up in, I guess, the indies or even in NXT prior. So let's say you'll have something like, I don't know, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's still continuing. And they've been knowing they got to know each other for 30 years. But it does make sense because you bring them up with each other and then you end up just, keeping them stick together, which is fine. But that's part of kayfabe and they understand the business, whether you agree with them all the time on their angles or not. Now, here's an angle that's built in, and here's something that Collision desperately needed to take advantage of. All right. We all know about the media scrum. We all know what happened with CM Punk. We all know the backstage antics as far as how Omega and the Bucks came in, and there was Larry the dog that was being taken care of by Omega, and Ace Steel biting an arm, and basically Punk handling his own business at that time. I mean, we still don't know what exactly happened. And I love how there was an investigation and there was no foregone conclusion as far as what happened with that investigation. There was no explanation as far as, hey, we're going to strip the title a few days after that from Omega and the Bucks and CM Punk. There was never an explanation for that. We never understood why that happened. If you're just watching wrestling, you just see, hey, these guys aren't champions anymore. There was never any inkling of that. But if you go to social media and check the news for wrestling, you understand what exactly happened. This was a built-in storyline that has taken months and months, almost a year. This is almost a year long, this whole saga. It's still enjoyable when you think about what exactly happened and how it transpired. A lot of documentaries and a lot of things come out as far as why this happened and who's to blame, who's right or who's wrong. It's both sides. It's absolutely both sides. We know that CM Punk is a guy that believes in his own culture. It's cult of personality there, no pun intended, with his theme song. But he is somebody with an acquired taste, and I get that. I get how he rubs people the wrong way. But the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are not what you would classify as standard EVPs. So that's why it's really hard to swallow somebody in an executive position, as somebody that understands what an executive is. Not that I am one, but I'm not going to go down that line. But anyway, um, why you would actually put your hands on somebody and then an investigation happens and then they finally say, okay, nothing happened. A Steel, you get your job back. We don't even know if nothing happened or we ended up hearing anything about that. But I'm not here to talk really about what happened back then, but the event that should take place on Collision should not be what it is. Yes, it's a great match that's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. And there's going to be an attraction as far as who's going to be watching this. It's Samoa Joe and Juice Robinson and Switchblade Jay White taking on Punk and FTR. Punk and FTR are people that have teamed with each other, and people like that combination because it was literally the three best wrestlers in the company, aside from MJF, who MJF did team with FTR at some point. So that's how that goes. But I don't recall anything as far as Samoa Joe and Juice Robinson and Switchblade Jay White all acting as a unit. And not saying that that's bad, but there's no reason for this to happen. Now, I gave that pause because I know somebody says, "Oh, well, CM Punk and Samoa Joe faced each other at Ring of Honor 20 some odd years ago." That's great. What does that have to do with what's going on right now? It doesn't. You're using proxies to try to get over a storyline that should come to the forefront and should be on TV and would be the biggest money-making draw for AEW. It would. Nothing that MJF has done over the past 6 months has been great. Ever since the last Forbidden Door, the TV has been awful. And then when the whole media scrum thing happened, it's been even worse. Doubt me. You've mitigated Bryan Danielson to somebody that is just some sort of like flunky almost, or a not so good heel in the Blackpool Combat Club. So he's lost his credibility. I love Bryan Danielson, but when he's on TV, he's not somebody that I need to watch anymore. And I'm sure everybody says, good, so don't watch it. Why does anybody think that saying good, don't watch it would help your company that you root for? Don't you want to grow? As an EVP, don't you want to grow? Don't you want to make money? Don't you want to make money angles? Why aren't you inserted in this headline for a debut show? The last debut of Rampage was Christian Cage against Kenny Omega. Great match. It was the first time Kenny got pinned in a long time. Had to be like, what, a year and a half, something like that, wherever he was. So I don't remember Kenny taking a pin before that. But the next week on Rampage was CM Punk, not advertised. Let's keep that in mind too. Now, when you take a look at what historically Punk has done, he's raised numbers. So yes, this will get a pop. And you're going to also have to fill in the rest of the show. I think it's an hour long. You're going to have to fill in the rest of the show with recognizable stars and characters. Maybe bring in some other guys or bring in a segment. I'm not even kidding you. Bring in like something like, not saying, what was it, the Tooth Fairy show or the doctor's office thing with Britt Baker. Was it corny? Yeah, but it still put some laughs on there. Was it good? But it was almost like as close to having a Piper's Pit. If you could have something like that on Collision on a weekly basis, it'd be something there you go, oh, all right, I'm going to go to Collision and yeah, they're going to have this Piper's Pit or the Geritron 5000 or whatever it was. But if you layer your TV show like that, then you're getting somewhat towards what the other brands are going to have on their show. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yes, Tony Khan likes to be a copycat in a lot of different ways, but I don't think that would be a bad way to do things. Now, let me go back to the main event. I hope it's the main event. And they'll probably start the show with it. If you have Samoa Joe and Juice Robinson and Switchblade Jay White come out together, all right, and have them actually as a trio that will team together, I'm not saying you need another stable, but at least these three guys look like formidable foes. It's still not going to work, Tony. People are pining for FTR and Punk, or just Punk, to go out after Omega. And for some reason, so there's camaraderie or everybody gets along in the locker room. You need to have a new show. You need to square away a TV deal for a new show just so these guys don't interact, but you could have some happiness in your locker room. Meanwhile, they're not even going to be existing in the same dressing room. It boggles my mind how a company that wants to grow and make money just doesn't do the right decisions here. So, yeah, I'm going to sit there and say close but no cigar on this because there was only one match that you should have billed for this. You have proxies on there. And with the alleged proxy of Chris Jericho being the first singles feud with CM Punk on there, I, I don't know. I don't remember a time where they ever announced these potential feuds or what's going to happen. But this isn't really a good look. There's only one answer that you could have had with this. And if you wanted ratings to spike, this is what you should have done. Look at what's happened to Rampage. You're a victim and this is your own demise, Tony. And I'm just some guy with a microphone that just cares a lot about wrestling and just wants it to be good again. And it can be good. You can copy some of the how do I put this? You can copy some of the other things that are going on with wrestling in other places. But make it your own and have your own destiny as far as what's going to happen with the Elite against Punk. You don't even have to have FTR involved. If you had, let's say, a guy, Callis isn't with them anymore, but now who's going to speak on the mic for Omega? Because he certainly can't. We've seen that. 69 me done. I love Samoa Joe. I think Juice Robinson is really entertaining. And I like Switchblade because he's got such a different look to him. And they do stand out. But when you put them all together, it's just another trios tag team that will do nonstop killer instinct moves with each other. Before I sign off, I actually want to bring this up here too. Do people really think that Punk's going to end his career at AEW? Do people think Jericho is going to end his career at AEW? That remains to be seen because he loves it there and he's getting all the time in the world to do whatever he wants, whether it's good or mainly bad. I still think that they're missing an opportunity here. And correct me if I'm wrong. Rampage has not been the same ever since they stopped advertising matches with guys like Punk on there or MJF. Said it's relegated to a B show. Collision starts with the C. You don't want to go down that trail of a Saturday show as a C show. I understand that WCW had a lot of different Saturday Night Wrestling all throughout the years. Even when at the peak of the NWO era, when they'd still have WCW, you'd have one guy from NWO on there appear, but he was a B squad guy. We love you, Virgil or Vincent. But anyway, I think he just dropped the ball on this, and I want to see some success comes from AEW. And I just really think that you're just missing the mark on this. Um, so don't be surprised if there's just floundering ratings afterwards. But yeah, that's all I got on this. I just hope that, at least there's something there. Am I going to watch Collision? I got nothing else to do. Yeah. My wife will probably be in the other room doing her hair for the next day. And I'm looking forward to Father's Day. Looking forward to spending it with my son. But other than that, though, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to enjoy it. And I just want to make sure that everybody else enjoys it too. But let's make some logical decisions as far as how to invest that time, that precious airtime there. You really dropped the ball on this, Tony. And I just hope that we end up seeing just some sort of great matches in the future. But please do not give up on the potential greatness of that storyline. This is Dale from the Transatlantic Wrestling Talk live stream. Hope all is well with everybody. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Just continue to watch wrestling, folks. Take care.